Well, welcome everybody to the third episode of the Second Amendment Daily Show. I am one of your four hosts tonight. My name is Ben Dorr. I'm the political director for Minnesota Gun Rights and also the Wisconsin Firearms Coalition. Come in, you guys. Let us know where you're watching from. This video is live on like a dozen different pages all across the U.S. tonight. This is fantastic stuff. We're so happy to have you guys coming on here tonight. Let us know where you're watching. Tonight we're talking about, of course, Brett Kavannaugh, Dianne Feinstein, and this debacle in D.C. We're talking about Levi Strauss. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not wearing any pants tonight because I was burning my Levi's out behind the office. I'll be on the office tonight.
You stole my line.
And we're talking about Nike. I know a lot of people are roasting their Nikes this weekend. So, guys, I'm going to kick this right off. I'm going to do a quick introduction of the rest of our hosts here tonight. Again, let us know in the comments section where you're watching from, and take a minute and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Second Amendment Daily Show. So I'll just start right off. In my top right, I have my brother, Chris Dorr. He's the executive director of Ohio Gun Owners.
Parade wave.
Chris.
Parade wave. Well, we had another mass shooting today here in Ohio, what they're classifying as a mass shooting. And again, it's a gun-free zone. This guy's name is Omar Perez. He didn't fit the model, so CNN and all the left-wing fake news media are dropping as fast as they possibly can. So it's big news here in Ohio today.
Yeah, well, anything to ban guns, it seems. In the top left of me, we have Patrick Parsons, a good friend of gun owners. He's the executive director of Georgia Gun Owners. What's going on in Atlanta, Patty?
Oh, it's still hot down here. The Braves are still in first place, and we are fighting socialist Stacey Abrams down here in Georgia. All of my Georgia people out there, I know that y'all are coming on hot right now. Comment in the comment section. Let everybody know where you're watching from. Georgia, show up big tonight. All right? Like and share this video and get it out. It's great to be on, Ben, and I'm glad to be on with Aaron and Chris as well.
Fantastic.
And I'm going to jump in here. And by the way, Ohio, let's light it up on fire tonight. Let them know that we dwarf those southern Georgia boys any day of the week. We know how to fight up here in the north, by the way.
And to my right, I think that's right, it should be right on camera, is my brother Aaron Dorr. He's the executive director of Iowa Gun Owners and several others. He works in multiple states. Aaron, what's going on in Iowa?
We're still watching our buddy Chuck Grassley today go 10 rounds with everybody and on the raging left right now in the Kavannaugh hearings. So a lot of Iowans who are pretty impressed with what we've happened over the last couple of days with these hearings. A lot to talk about there. Happy to be on the night, and like Patrick said, this is live on a lot of pages right now. So if you're a member of Iowa Gun Owners, or if you're involved with the Missouri Firearms Coalition or Wyoming Gun Owners, you might have seen my face. Check in over the last couple of days with these. Give me a big thumbs up, and yeah, happy to be on board tonight, guys.
Awesome, guys. Again, we're going to kick off right here. We're talking about Brett Kavannaugh, Levi Strauss, and Nike, of course. Who wants to kick off with Kavanagh? I think that's kind of the big news right now. Are we going to get a pro-gun Supreme Court nominee here or not? If Dianne Feinstein has her way, she intends to totally shut this down. The very first topic, they're grilling Kavanagh, grilling him daily now, and the biggest topic, the thing they're all talking about, the thing they want answers on, is the Second Amendment. Dianne Feinstein's been losing her mind on the Second Amendment issue, going after Kavanagh. So who wants to grab that, guys?
Well, it's like I said, Chuck Grassley, the Iowan, is chairing the committee, so I'll take a stab at it. I mean, I've watched a lot of this here. I've been kind of glued like a moth to a flame, kind of a weird thing here for days. Watching this, it's always entertaining. You've got crazy paid actors who are sitting there screaming every, 15 minutes on cue. You got Cory Booker giving them $100 bills on the side of the screen for their protest. I mean, maybe not literally, but we all know it's happening. And yeah, like you said, Ben, the very minute that the opposition got a chance to speak, Dianne Feinstein, this lovely lass, right here, the very first question.
How old is she?
The very first question out of her mouth to Kavanagh was on guns. It's on guns. And like Patrick was saying on the phone today, it's the holy grail, for the crazed left right now. It's all guns all the time. And so they spent a lot of time on this, and it was their opening question.
It's the holy grail along with killing babies. But we'll talk about that on another podcast, I guess, guys. But yeah, I mean, Aaron, you were talking about what you said earlier was moving the goalposts. Okay, moving the goalposts. If y'all didn't get a chance to read the article on secondamendmentdaily.com, I encourage y'all to do that. Aaron's going to talk about this specifically, but there was this tussle between Kavannaugh and Feinstein, and Feinstein tried to claim that the so-called assault weapons, AR-15s is what she's talking about. She called them semi-automatic assault weapons. This woman has no clue.
None.
She has armed guards, but she's never touched a firearm other than to show it off and like point it at her face, up on Capitol Hill. But Aaron, tell everybody how she tried to move the goalpost. If you want to.
Well, yeah, there's a great article right now in the National Review. That's where I'm holding this picture of this lovely lady right here. National Review.
That picture was taken, by the way, at the confirmation hearings that Abraham Lincoln, when he put his candidates forward for the Supreme Court.
And guys, I know you're watching on lots of platforms right now. Wherever you're watching from, there's links in the comment section on these platforms. Take a second and subscribe to this YouTube channel, guys. We're trying to make sure we have a place to go when the Facebook overlords kill everything off on social media. So take a couple moments and like that. But a great article on National Review talking about the fact that the Democrats and especially Feinstein are trying to move the goalposts on what the definition is of firearms. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't believe that our gun rights exist or are only legal as long as the Supreme Court says they are. However, we're going to take those protections and that support while we can get it. But, her major tiff with Kavannaugh was his dissent on the D.C. circuit when they decided to uphold, the D.C. ban on handguns. And, Kavannaugh dissented from that opinion and wrote a pretty good brief on that. And her main talking point was that the AR-15s are not in common use. And so her idea is that therefore they can't be protected by the Constitution and or the Supreme Court. That's her shtick. And it was hilarious. If you watched Kavanagh, he's been very good. He did a good job. He did a very good job. Dude's got a poker face. Jesuit school probably helps keep him keep those emotions tightly in check. And he started laughing. He started laughing at her, and he was like, "Well, Senator Feinstein, there's millions of these firearms all over the country. So how do you not say that they're common use?" And her response, I have a quote here. Oh yeah, well, exactly. Her response was, she said, "You're saying that the numbers determine common use?" She said, "Common use is an activity. It's not storage or possession. It's use." And so the fact that 15 million or more of these firearms exist in the country, and the fact that we don't all carry them on our back every day, according to Feinstein, that means they're not in common use. It's absolutely laughable. I don't know about you guys, but every one of the AR-15s in my home every day are used for self-defense. They're always ready. They're always ready for self-defense.
And I saw, change the subject a little bit, I saw Feinstein staffers. If any of y'all, how many of y'all out there watched any of the confirmation hearings, either today, yesterday, or the day before? I know I did. I was listening to it here at the office. My Georgia people know, because I was ranting about it this morning on Georgia Gun Owners Facebook Live. But you'll see the people sitting behind Feinstein and Chuck Grassley from Iowa. But Feinstein staffers, there's one of them that's one of these, like, I think it's a woman. I don't know, but she's got like a short, buzzed head. These people all live in San Francisco. It's where Feinstein lives, guys, with her illegal workers on her husband's farm or whatever it is.
All right.
But these are the people who make the policy for these for you. They have no idea. They have absolutely no idea about firearms. And I worked on Capitol Hill, guys, and I lived in D.C. or Northern Virginia for 5 years and worked on Capitol Hill for about 5 years, guys, off and on. These people are clueless. They are pansies. They are everything that you could possibly imagine that happens on Capitol Hill, but they hold all the power. They hold all the power. And the only thing that fights back against these people is overwhelming political force from the Second Amendment supporters and gun owners of this nation, period. That's how we protect them. And that was my rant for the moment there on Feinstein, guys. But Aaron's right. They try to move the goalposts. They try to lie about things. And Feinstein.
What's ridiculous about it is that is the numbers. And again, I don't believe for a second, and I doubt anybody watching this podcast, we don't believe that our gun rights are secured only as long as the Supreme Court says they are. So I want to make sure I'm not falling into that trap. I don't think anybody else is. But again, we're going to take that support while we can. But what's laughable about her assertions is an article here on Breitbart from a couple days ago. I'll read it for you guys here in a minute. But 9.3 million AR-15s manufactured during the 8 years of the Obama administration. We all know he was the best gun salesman in American history. Everybody knows that. Probably had the bumper sticker or 2 or 3. But literally 9.3 million AR-15s. But this absurd, senile, radical wacko says they're not common. They're in storage. Yes, ma'am. That's right. They are. They're in storage. And 9.3 million. It says that there was additional 2.1 million made in the 19 years prior to the Obama administration. So we're up to about 11.4 million. And of course, gun sales are still at sensational highs right now. Have been every single month since the Trump administration began. So this idea from Diane that common use is the definition, number one, is ridiculous. It's not constitutional. Number two, heaven's sakes, there's almost 15 million of them out there. Do you want to ban the sand on the sea? I mean, do you want to ban raindrops? I mean, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Hey, guys, I'm going to jump in here really quick. We're doing some new sound stuff tonight. So in the comment section of wherever you guys are watching us right now, if you would tell us if we are loud or if we are too soft or something like that, I'm trying to control that here at the Ohio Gun Owners headquarters in Beaver Creek, Ohio. So say it, Patrick, the Georgia guy is too high or too low, or just say it in the comment section. We just want to know how it sounds to you guys on the backside. I'm also going to jump in here and give a big shout out to Daniel Sykes on the Ohio Gun Owners Facebook page. He's an absolute wonderful troll. And he's moaning and groaning right now about the similar backgrounds that we all have, that several of us have here, where it says Ohio Gun Owners, Iowa. Yeah, earth to you, buddy. When my brother Ben wanted to have a background made, he said, "Hey, you got something I can borrow?" You daggum right. So we're just not going to reinvent the wheel, but just want to give a shout out to you, anti-gun troll, who, by the way, has pictures of Harambe all over his own personal Facebook page. So he's a total bleeding leftist loser. So anyway, keep on going, guys.
So we had did anybody see Kamala Harris? Does anybody know who Kamala Harris is? She's the California U.S.
presidential
Senator.
candidate. She announced de facto today.
Exactly. No matter what happens in this November election. By the way, I saw, if you go to secondamendmentdaily.com, you can read the article that was written about Nancy Pelosi saying that one of the first things they're going to do if they get the House is to try to ram gun control through in 2019. But what y'all need to keep an eye on out there is January 2019, all these candidates are going to start going to Iowa, where Aaron is, and they're running for president. You had Kamala Harris and Cory Booker. Okay, yep. Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, radical leftists. So just something to keep an eye on, the guys out there. The presidential race is starting up in about 4 months. I mean, it's really going to start up, and you're seeing a lot of those people at the hearing today. We're kind of positioning for that. So,
and I know for you Ohioans who are watching right now, that is super painful because we are some of the last people to get those TV ads all the way up until the bitter end.
Oh yeah, exactly, no doubt. Well, Ben, you had this guy Keith Ellison. You know, I changed subjects just a little bit. What's happening with Keith Ellison? I saw the camera in his face the other day. Let our viewers know who the heck this guy is and who he's funded by and supported.
Yeah, well, Minnesota, I mean, gosh, I think it's pretty hard to find people who don't know who Keith Ellison is. He's about the most radical, communistic, leftist Democrat that ever lived. I mean, he's Black Lives Matter, Antifa, assault weapons bans, every leftist agenda you can dream of. Keith Ellison is a proponent of here in Minnesota. He's from Congressional District 5. I'm telling you. So right now he's running for attorney general in Minnesota. Dropped out of his congressional race to run for AG. He's probably looking to make governor sometime later on down the road. So, but news broke all over the place. The guy's been beating his girlfriends, his longtime girlfriends. He was doing it back in 2005. There's a whole bunch of
multiple women,
multiple
women.
Recently and in the past, he's beating them, dragging them out of his house, yanking them off the bed by their ankles and stuff. The guy's a total animal. And so he's on campaign events. He's traveling all across the state right now to boost his campaign for attorney general.
What was the deal going on up there about his law license? Like he doesn't have a he let his law license go
he doesn't have he does not have a valid license currently to practice law in Minnesota, but he's running for attorney general. That sounds right up Keith Ellison's road there. So wheelhouse. That's pretty much it. So now. Yeah, he's being run out of campaign events. There's some articles on it all over the place right now. And again, this guy, he's calling for an assault weapons ban. He sponsored the bill to ban magazines over 10 rounds. He's been fighting to overturn stand your ground in states all across the country. He's been pushing for a long time. Well, some news reporters, and this guy, he's a big Me Too proponent, right? He's been talking about.
I beat my wife too, is what he says. Right?
Isn't he the one who said to Al Franken, "Do the right thing and step down," or do the right thing and resign?
Al Franken was groping people all over the place, and as soon as it came out, as soon as it was even talked about, it was Keith Ellison was one of the loudest voices in Minnesota saying, I know that he'll do the right thing and step down, which is what Al Franken did. But now Keith Ellison is absolutely refusing to do it, even though he's been beating women apparently for years. He will not step down. And so women and reporters are chasing him around to his campaign events, saying, how on earth are you supposedly a Me Too proponent, a women's rights proponent? How can you pretend to be what you are when you're beating your girlfriends and stuff? Do you have anything to say? And he's running out of his campaign events, not saying a word, doesn't want to talk about it, hoping everybody forgets about it and just votes him in as attorney general of Minnesota.
I mean, just to do credit to the investigative journalist, he didn't just leave the event after the Q&A section, not answer questions. This woman, with her team of photographers, was there in the parking lot when he arrived. They were talking to him as he walked into the outdoor gazebo in the park in Minnesota, asking the whole time, when are you going to apologize? When are you going to step down? The National Organization of Women have urged you to step down and abandon this campaign. When are you going to quit? And he got into the gazebo. He turned around for about 15 seconds. He gave somebody a hug, and he literally abandoned 50 or 75 people in the gazebo and took off, got back into his car, and the dude fled. I mean, the dude fled. He didn't say a word. He left his entire campaign staff and all those supporters sitting back there. I mean, it was joy.
So let me issue a cattle call. If you guys are sick and tired of watching Republicans act like a bunch of panty-waisted little wimps, let this be a lesson for you. This girl chased the mighty Keith Ellison out of his own event just by being a bulldog, by going on the attack. That's what gun owners need to be doing.
Exactly. Yeah. All of us on this video, and I know my people down here in Georgia have seen it with Casey Cagle, with Chris Christie in 2015 when we sent him running out the back door at the so-called Red State Gathering with Dopey Eric Erickson down there, guys. But all of us on this video have put cameras in people's face. Period. Okay, if gun owners did that, if we put the heat on the politicians like that Loomer chick did up in with Ellison, I think things would be a lot different. They don't like the light shown on them.
Absolutely.
And that's a big freaking deal. It's a big freaking deal that type of stuff happens. It's just public embarrassment, public shaming. Saul Alinsky, who is basically the godfather of the left and everything that they do. If you read Rules for Radicals, public shaming is one of their top things. We should practice the same things, shaming these politicians on the left and on the right. And on the right, especially, it's hot stuff.
Absolutely.
You know, it's because their actions are shameful. I mean, they deserve shame. You know,
and one thing that pisses me off, and I messaged all y'all today. One thing that pisses me off about this Supreme Court hearing is that the Republicans, Lion Ted, Mike Lee, all these people, Ben Sass, and they're probably pretty regular fine votes on the conservative side or pro-gun side or whatever, but they always seem to be on the defense. It's like Aaron said earlier, the holy grail on the left is the Second Amendment and killing babies. Both things that they want, you know what they want on those two things. But the Republicans does anybody agree with this? Republicans always seem on defense. Let's go on the freaking offense. The left is on offense. They're trying to tear this guy down and throw him in a hole and bury him. And the right is just like, oh, well, you know, whatever. It's like, let's see some fight out there. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see is some fight, you know.
Well, and I want to give a quick shout out to my buddy Greg. I'm a Greg Myers watching tonight. Dave Peterson from Lonsdale. Kirsty's watching. Minnesotan just rocked this whole thing. But Greg says right here, he just wanted to make sure everybody knew. And, of course, we know this. Keith Ellison is a very strong proponent of Sharia law for America. It's one of his big key issues.
He is way to the left. He's like Black Lives Matter Antifa supporter. He got arrested with these schmucks. Yeah. And you know what? These people hate America. And so if this guy, you know, gets in bed with those kinds of people, you know, it is the left revealed, folks. That's what that is.
Yep. Yeah. Vance on the IGO page, Vance says, "Can you hear me now? The 2A will never die. We will never quit. We'll never back down. Frankenstein will eventually die. Unfortunately, Commie California will elect someone even dumber." But, you know, Vance is 100% right. His fight is going nowhere. We're not going to give an inch. And that's the key here. I think we're seeing this all across America right now. The only upside, if anything, since the Parkland, Florida shooting in February was there's no more pretense. I mean, these people are loud and proud. They want to disarm you. It's not about tweaking the edges anymore. It's not common sense reforms. We want to repeal the Second Amendment. That's what a former Supreme Court justice said. They want to confiscate your AR-15s. It's crazy. There's
who was the Second Amendment? Who was the Second Amendment judge who said that?
I'd have to look it up, but they call for I think so, Stevens, yes, and they call for a repeal of the Second Amendment, and that's why I think why they're so upset right now because they're not going to get that anytime soon. Not if Kavannaugh gets on there and continues to augment the pro-gun forces, which is why this is a life or death deal in these people's minds. They're nuts. They're nuts, and in their minds, if more people have firearms, that's going to lead to more crime. This whole article here makes the point. I mean, 9.3 million AR-15s sold in just the last 8 years, but it's still almost never used in crime. It's almost never used in crime. Sure, the high sensational ones are certainly using AR-15s, but this is far more deadly per capita than an AR-15. Fists, boots, knives. These things kill way more people every single day, every year than the AR-15. And so these people, they're not dealing with facts, but they do have naked ambition now. They're not hiding it anymore. They're not hiding.
Well, I saw this come out the other day, or I got a Google alert on it. March for Our Lives, the David Hogg organization that took to the streets after the Parkland, Florida. They came out with a 10-part agenda. And this is what we're talking about when we say that we're glad that the left has been revealed. Now we can objectively point to it and say, this is what they want to do. They're being blatant about it. Number one, fund gun violence research. Number two, eliminate restrictions on the HCF so they can make decrees and take away your gun rights. Number three, universal background checks, a.k.a. statewide gun registration. Number four, high-capacity magazine bans. Banning AR-15s. Number six, funding for intervention. I mean, it just goes on. Oh, number seven, this is their biggest push right now, extreme risk protection orders, a.k.a. red flag gun confiscation. So, folks, they're out and obvious about it now. And we like that because you know, it's a wake up call for gun owners on the right who have long since, you know, kind of sat on the side and said, you know, do I really got to get involved?
Hey, I want to butt in, guys. Turner, Aaron talked about knives. Turner said, do you remember the knife attack in China? I think it was a couple years ago. There was like 30-something people died or whatever, you know, but he makes a good point. According to the 2016 Federal Bureau of Investigation statistics, 4 times to 1, knives and blunt force objects were used, and I believe it was in homicides, compared to rifles. That's all rifles. That's 4 to 1. Okay, but all we see from these politicians is, well, we've got to ban them. We got to ban them, and that's all they want, guys. You know, I want to take a second here, guys. Everybody in Georgia, we've got over 240 comments. Remember, this is beaming all over the country. You may not see all the people on our particular stream right now, but this is on about 12 or 15 different Facebook pages right now. The people, the comments that you're seeing are people from Georgia, but there are people from sea to shining sea, guys. So everybody in Georgia or whatever state you are watching from right now, let us know in the comments section where you are watching from. Okay, I'm in Kennesaw, Georgia. Aaron is in Des Moines, Iowa, right? Ben is in Northfield, Minnesota, close to Minneapolis. Chris is in Beaver Creek, Ohio. Guys, let us know where you're watching from. Take a moment to share this video around far and wide. This is episode number 3 of the Second Amendment Daily Show. You can get live updates at secondamendmentdaily.com. You can go to Second Amendment Daily Facebook page. Go ahead and like the Facebook page. A lot of y'all are going over there tonight, guys, and doing that. I've got Jimmy in Canton, Georgia, Steve in Calhoun, Michael in Snellville, Roy and Tyrone. Do any of y'all see any people where y'all are watching from? Chris, Aaron, Ben, do y'all see anybody commenting down there?
We got Patty Hodges over in Cedar Rapids. We got Roger King watching in DeWitt. We got Susan watching in Waterloo. We got Brandon over in Eastern Iowa. We got some cool folks out here in Wyoming watching. If you're involved with Wyoming gun owners, guys, big shout out to you guys. I'll be in the capital in Wyoming, temporary capital, albeit in a couple days, getting prepped for the 2019 session. So guys watching in Wyoming, and a ton of folks, so many comments right now in Missouri, tons of Missourians who are watching. And guys, if you're in Missouri, we're going to talk about in a little bit here the poll numbers that came out yesterday on Claire McCaskill. Yep. Not good for gun grabbing Claire. So more on that in a little bit. Don't leave, Missourians.
Well, you guys were just going through a bunch of people there giving shout outs, but my guys are dwarfing all of you guys. I got no less than 250 check-ins over here. So got my buddy Chris checking in from New York. You got the best name in the world, Chris Carmen from Parma Heights, Rhonda from Mount Vernon, Mark from Seatown, Cap City, Cincinnati, nice. Cleveland, all over the place here. Thanks a lot for checking in, guys. Did any of y'all see what Linda Sarcer said the other day about Cincinnati? Chris, did you see the video? Yeah, I think so. Go ahead. Sure. Oh. Well, Linda Sarcer, everybody in Georgia I know, Linda Sarcer is this radical anti-Semite, anti-Second Amendment, radical leftist. She's supported by Soros. But specifically, Chris is talking about Ohio. Linda Sarcer, she's on video, and it was shared on one of the Second Amendment Daily stories. She said, everybody in Ohio and Cincinnati, vote Democrat. Even if you don't like them. Even if you don't like your candidate, go out and vote Democrat. I mean, you know. Bizarre. And we're talking about another a Muslim, absolute radical. I mean, she's endorsed everything, Sharia law, all this different kind of stuff. She's another Matt Ellison. Right there, but this is what they're doing, folks. Or Keith Ellison. This is exactly what they're doing, folks. They are organizing like crazy, and right now in this environment, it's working. They are getting people involved like crazy right now, and that's why we got to be fighting back. So please, if you're watching this right now here in Ohio on the Ohio Gun Owners page, share this video on your Facebook page. Tell your friends to take a look, to subscribe, to go over to our YouTube channel, watch this stuff, because we got a lot coming at us. Yep. I got to give my shout outs yet real quick. And just to clarify what Patrick just said, one of my guys here, Nathan, commented and said, you got to share it on so many pages, and how come there's only X number of views here? Again, the numbers don't aggregate on that page. So the ones who are watching in Minnesota, you see the numbers of the people in Minnesota, and all these other pages are showing their numbers separately. So it doesn't aggregate. You can't see the hundreds of people watching it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're gonna absolutely. But guys, we got Rick
watching. We got Stephanie in Farmington, Dennis in Richmond. Mark, as always, says, love you guys. He's in Hayfield, Minnesota. We got Maggie on. We got John. We got Bob Warner's watching, of course, and Paul. So I want to give a huge shout out to the Minnesotans. I just want to sit here and talk about Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Too cold.
Too cold up there.
Go drink your
Hey, who wants to talk about freaking Levi's? Does anybody want to talk about that?
Well, we can talk about the fact that we don't have any pants on again, but maybe we shouldn't go there. No, I got my Wrangler shorts on, just like I did yesterday, and made sure I wasn't wearing those. In fact, I usually wear jeans in a blazer when I go to the State House in Columbus. And yesterday, I had to take those Levi's, and I just had to throw them in the trash. That's normally my apparel.
You can't wear Nike. You can't wear Levi. You know, it's getting pretty close to just Carhartt apparel here.
Well, you can't wear Under Armour either.
I think most of
Under Armour either.
Yeah.
Well, so what do we have? We got Carhartt, Duluth Trading Company. Does anybody wear that?
Oh yeah, guys, come on, Minnesotans.
Let us know in the comments section, guys. I know Duluth Trading Company, Carhartt. What do you guys wear? If you're not going to wear Levi's, what are you going to wear? What are y'all going to wear, guys?
We're not supporting this crap. And Levi is just one of. I did a list today. I saw one online. I think I passed it around to you guys. 65 separate companies, and that was in about a 20-minute perusal on Google. 65 companies out there, big ones. I mean, big chains that these people hate you. They hate us. They despise gun owners. They spit in our face. They use their smug, elitist, East Coast ordinarily attitude, and they look down on us like we're some kind of the hairy unwashed because we care about gun rights. I'll be damned if I'm going to intentionally spend any money in these stores. I mean, it's impossible sometimes to avoid. There's so many of them now, it's almost impossible. But because I'll be damned if I voluntarily walk into these stores and spend my money there. The idea of giving my cash to somebody who spits in my face.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it burns me alive. Burns me alive.
Yeah, my mama told me a long time ago that hate is what killed Jesus. And I can tell y'all that these people at Levi's, their headquarters is in San Francisco, I can tell y'all that they freaking hate gun owners and Second Amendment supporters. They hate you and they want you dead. And apparently they don't want us to buy their jeans. I'm not going to buy them anymore, period. And I have bought them. I'm not going to lie.
Well, so in case you guys didn't see what actually happened, although the whole world right now is buzzing about Levi, but in case you missed it, it was their CEO, Chip Berg, in Fortune magazine on Tuesday said that they, quote, simply cannot stand by silently when it comes to the issues that threaten the very fabric of the communities where we live and work. And so they announced a $1 million donation to various gun control groups across the country doing various things. And, our dollars are directly going to fund the eradication of our constitutional rights. It's absolutely, it's insane. It's insane. We're not going to.
Not only that, but they offered to match employees.
Yeah.
All employee contributions. Now this is in San Francisco. Yeah, this is in San Francisco. So it's going to be millions of dollars. Millions.
It's more than that. They've teamed up with every town for gun safety. And they're forming every town business leaders for gun safety. A totally separate organization to get business leaders all across America, anti-gun business leaders, to get on board and pour money into the gun control movement nationwide.
Oh gosh, I just pulled up the list. We're gonna be horrified by this.
Oh no. No.
As you're pulling it up, Chrissy Beck here, the Missouri Firearms Coalition page, has not bought a pair of Levi's since the early 2000s because they have been anti-gun long before this announcement here went so public and so viral. Jeff Camrick says he wears Realtree. That's it. That works for us, Jeff. We dig it. And Randy says Lees are made in Mexico anyway. So a lot of folks obviously, this is a very trending topic right now. People are sick of this. I mean, corporate gun control is where everything is going right now. I mean, you can't buy coffee anywhere. You can't go to a movie theater anywhere. You can't buy Nike. You can't buy Levi's. You can't shop in half these stores. You can't go to the bank. These people are nuts.
Oh, and then the banks are all in on it too. They're shutting down all the credit card companies, all the pro-gun companies. They're shutting down their ability to process credit cards. I think Shane MacArthur right here in Ohio probably has the best solution to all this. He says, I'll wear a kilt soon. I'm Scottish anyway.
That's right.
Oh, they would get you.
Right
They would
on,
get you
Shane.
for. They would get you for man spreading. They would get you for man spreading for that one. There's nowhere to run anymore, guys. There's nowhere to run.
Shane.
We've got to fight back against these
Well,
guys.
and Brandon Justice, he's on the IGO page right now. Again, all the Iowans here, give us a comment section, guys. Let us know where you're watching from. But Brandon's from Mason City. And Brandon, we're going to be right up there in Mason City later on this fall because Amanda Reagan is in a big fight for her reelection, a leading gun grabber in the Iowa State Senate. She voted against stand your ground law. She voted against constitutional carry. She voted against the law. Check this out. If you're not from Iowa, just listen to this. She voted against the bill that would stop making it a crime for a parent to teach their own kid how to shoot a handgun. Because up until last year in Iowa, unless your child was 14 or above, it was a misdemeanor offense, a criminal violation to teach your own kid to shoot a handgun. Amanda Reagan voted against that. But Brandon from Mason City says Walmart won't even sell guns under 21 anymore, whether or not they're handguns, long guns, or anything else. But you can still go and fight for your country at the age of 18. And that is what literally burns people alive. All of these states are working to try to raise the age on when you can buy a firearm to 21. And it's absolutely ridiculous because, again, like Brandon said, I can fight and die for my country. I can shoot full auto. I can fly jets. I can carry the M249 Bravo, the full auto grenade launcher, all this stuff. And I come back to Mason City, Iowa, or Arnold, Missouri, or Rollins, Wyoming, or all these places, and guess what? You can't. If they have their way, you can't even buy a freaking Glock 19. You can't even buy a Ruger 1022 because you're not 21. And of course, the minute they pass that, we all know what's going to happen. It's going to get bumped to 25. It's going to get bumped to 25. Or some other restriction. Yep. They're never going to stop.
And then they're going to come after our free speech rights, and then they're going to come after absolutely everything else. So once that Second Amendment is gone, the rest of them go with it. We had this right here in Ohio. Some guy, I just saw this in the comment section. Some kid was out at a restaurant wearing a MAGA hat. Anybody else here wear a MAGA hat on a routine basis? Give us a big happy face right now if you own a MAGA hat. Yeah. But a radical leftist, they just get triggered by this stuff. They come up to him right in a restaurant and they rip the hat right off his head. You know, these people are completely intolerant. They've gone off the rails.
Wasn't there a Chris Ledoux song about what happens if you rip this hat off my head?
Yeah,
that should be a bumper music. Hat. That should be bumper music, Chris, on the next podcast. Bumper music.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of unhinged, these crazies, I went on, if any of y'all are on Twitter out there, you can go to the Georgia Gun Owners Twitter, but I went on an absolute Twitter storm yesterday of about 8 pictures of these unhinged, crazy leftists. And they went viral too on our Twitter page, guys. But these women and even men, but they're just like absolutely out of their minds, totally unhinged. It is the base of the left. And there was even a picture of one who was being paid outside to go in and be a protester inside. Yeah, totally crazy. Totally insane.
Well, and speaking of protesters and people freaking out, I mean, for those of you who have been watching this, the Kavannaugh hearings in D.C., you know, we're watching them and we're watching the left have this organized, mobilized, very coordinated effort where they stack the entire room full of their cronies, and one at a time they start screaming, start shouting, and making a great big scene to try to shut the hearing down. You know, guards would escort them out, and then
all their anti-gun, gun grabbing media friends are pre-coordinated right in front of the protesters. They turn around with their phones and their cameras. They got them right there. The whole thing is a sham.
And then they text those pictures to their campaign staffers who are waiting to send out the pre-written emails to fundraise off of the entire thing.
Yep. And then give it about 30 seconds, bam, happens again. It was like hours of different people standing up, shouting and screaming, holding signs, pictures taken, they get hauled out, and they do it again and again and again.
Well, and I think that, not to get too far off track here, but that's part of the reason I think for this podcast is, you know, I know the four of us, we all work in state capitals. Most of us work in 2 or 3 state capitals because there's so much lack of organized effort right now amongst the pro-gun forces across the country. And we always see, I mean, it's not just in the East Coast or the West Coast. Wyoming this year, we had a coordinated effort as they passed stand your ground law. You got Bloomberg forces out there. They have all their friends in the media out there. And it's a huge effort to get that bill passed in freaking Wyoming. And it's 10 times worse in Iowa. And it's 20 times worse in Minnesota. It's 100 times worse I think probably in Georgia as far as the size of those rallies out there. But this podcast, I think, is for gun owners, for people just sick and tired of a half-hearted defense, I guess, of the Second Amendment. We're here to do it, man. We're going to throw a line down. We are throwing lines down in states all across the country. And if you screw with our gun rights, we're going to come after you come election time. The members of these organizations, they play for keeps. We're not here to play games. We're not here to convince anybody. When I go to the Capitol, I don't know you guys, but I don't go to try to convince lawmakers to vote the right way. That's done. We tell them
our knees just don't bend like that.
And here's the line. And if you want to vote wrong, we can't stop you. But by God, it's going to hurt in 2 years or 4 years with your reelection. And they can vote right or they can vote wrong. But gun owners are standing up in states like Iowa and Georgia and Minnesota and Ohio and Missouri and lots of other states, and they're playing for keeps. And gun rights, supporters, gun owners across the country, as you watch this podcast, find organizations like that in your state, because this fight, like we say, I mean, it's a triumvirate now. It's the media, obviously totally in the bag for gun control. It's the Bloomberg funded activists, totally, funded by this New York City billionaire. And it's all their friends, the Cory Bookers in DC. And guess what? They're Cory Bookers right here in Iowa. There are Cory Bookers in Ohio. There are Cory Bookers everywhere. That kind of people, whether it's Ako Abdul Samad, the big gun control state rep here in Iowa, or others. It's this coordination between the leaders in the Capitol, the media, and Bloomberg, and we got to step up. Gun owners have to step up. This fight is getting out of control,
and they're fighting at every single one of these levels. You're just talking about what's happening in the Supreme Court today, what's happening with these U.S. senators, but like Aaron was just talking about with this Amanda Reagan back up in Iowa, there's Amanda Reagans that are pushing this stuff hardcore right here in our own state capitals and state houses. And if we're not engaged at all these different levels ourselves, we're toast. And our kids are toast.
Well, Minnesota's just loaded with that stuff. Loaded. I want to give a big shout out to my good friend Eric Mortensen, who's watching this video right now.
Hey, Eric.
Eric is running for Minnesota House. He is, as far as we're concerned, the only dude with some serious, intestinal fortitude who's actually going to go there and fight on behalf of gun owners. The establishment has been trying to keep him out at all costs, spending big money to try to screw over gun owners by keeping Eric Mortensen out of office.
Use that to fight harder, Eric.
Absolutely. So we got at least one guy or gal in Minnesota who's going to go and fight on behalf of the Second Amendment. And, you're talking about these Cory Bookers and everybody across the country. We're talking about Keith Ellison, who's no longer running for Congress. He's running for AG. Well, the person who is taking his place and is very possibly going to win this is a girl named Ilhan Omar. And she's the first Muslim woman to ever hold office in a state house in America, and now she's likely going to Congress. This gal married her brother to get him into America. While she was married to somebody else, she's got more campaign violations and more things than you can even shake a stick at, but nobody's holding her to account. She's about as radical leftist, and she'll break all sorts of records by being the first Somalian woman to ever go to United States Congress. This is what's coming out of Minnesota right now, and Keith Ellison's running for AG. So if we don't step up, go ahead.
Is there any chance of her and Keith Ellison becoming a thing. I mean,
no, please no.
They probably already are.
No more white beaters.
Minnesotans are just sick of it. We're sick of it, and now this stuff is likely going to DC. And guys, we got to fight back with everything we've got, or we're going to lose everything we've got.
Yeah, I've got an interesting comment going back to a couple of topics ago, but Brian in Georgia, I guess he's in Georgia, he says, I turned down money in Seattle to join a protest supporting gun control 2 weeks ago. I went to jail because I knocked the guy out, Molan Labe. Okay, that's an interesting story. We're not advocating a violence of any sort here, guys. Of course, we're advocating political confrontation, but that's kind of an interesting story. Yeah, I mean that's
guys,
wild,
keep those comments coming in, guys. Wherever you're watching from, again, there's links above or in the comments on all these feeds, guys. Like this, subscribe to this page on YouTube. There's better quality audio, better quality video. They don't compress the bandwidth. That's the place you want to be. We got Terry Black watching right now on the YouTube channel from Cedar Hill, Missouri. Hello to you, Terry Black. We got CJ checking in. I think he's from Ohio, but I'm not sure. He says, checking jeans, hoping they're not Levi's. They're Levi's. It's like, shit.
Oh, no.
It's the last pair of jeans I'm going to buy from them.
You know, guys, I had one of our great life members here in the state of Georgia. His name's Stuart. He called me up about an hour ago, and he's working super hard with his job, whatever his job is. And but he said, Patrick, and y'all out there, I don't care if you're in Georgia or what state that you're in, let me know if you think this is a good idea. He said, when I get home, he said, I'm going to go buy some Levi's at Goodwill because he doesn't own any Levi's. I guess he wears Wranglers or something else. But he said, I'm going to take these Levi's out and put them on a hay bale out on his farm, and he's going to shoot a gigantic hole through these Levi's, guys. So he calls it the Levi's Challenge. The Levi's Challenge. So if any of y'all want to participate in the Levi's Challenge, it starts tonight. Go out and shoot a big hole through your Levi's, film a video of it, send it to any of us here. I don't know if you're in Georgia or Iowa or any
Ohio. Ohio, you can do this.
Go out and do it, guys. Go out and do it, and shoot a gigantic hole through your Levi's or through your Nikes, and send it. Any of us here, send us a video. We promise we will share it far and wide. Next week, we may even play it, live on this show, guys.
Yes.
But
the most epic video that we get from this, we will definitely play it right here live for you guys next week. So send it in to us. We know you can do this, Ohio. Come on. Don't let me down.
And this is just a small way. I mean, as far as Levi's are concerned, this is a small way for us to show our complete and utter disapproval of these mega corporations, flying in the face of gun owners. You guys remember the In-N-Out Burger boycott that was going on for a while that blew up in their faces so badly that the retard who started the entire boycott came out and said, no more boycott, because In-N-Out Burger was making so much money because of his call for a boycott that he called off the boycott. So let's show people like Nike and Levi's what happens. What happens when you do this to gun owners?
Now look at the blowback that happened from Under Armour. Last year they took an anti-gun stance, and they're a huge manufacturer of camouflage hunting clothes, and they walked right back from it. That thing got so hot so fast by gun owners that they immediately backed off. Now, none of us are doing dicks anymore, right? We're all going to Cabela's and Bass Pro Shops. Let's show these people a little bit of their own medicine.
Yeah. I mean,
Changing
Dick's
gears
Sporting Goods. Okay, go ahead, Aaron.
Well, Dick's. A shout out to Chrissy Beck on the Missouri Firearms Coalition page. She shared this video in Friends of Mo Gun Owners on Facebook right now. Guys, That's a great way to help spread the news about what's going on in the fight for gun rights, because, again, this is not just an Iowa thing.
Right.
Or a Georgia thing. We work in about 9 states, I think, right now, the 4 of us combined, and we're always getting more people involved in this page. But share this video on your personal page. Share it in the groups you moderate. Share it in the forums you're involved in, because gun folks don't always know what's happening on some of the legislative fronts, and the battle for gun rights is raging in D.C., but it's also raging in Jeff City, Missouri. And Des Moines, Iowa, and Atlanta, and all these state capitals. And so share it on your personal page and the gun forums that you're involved with. That'd be a great way to kind of help us out, guys. We appreciate that.
Dead air. Come on, Ben.
Dead air.
Dead air.
Can't have dead air.
I have a story. There's a big gun shop and range down here called Adventure Outdoors, and I was reminded by this by Turner, who's commenting. About 12 years ago, some of y'all may remember this. Bloomberg picked a couple of dozen, basically mom and pop gun shops, and accused them of straw purchases. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes.
But Turner reminded me, and I Googled it, Adventure Outdoors
Virginia.
down here in Georgia. Yeah, they were all over the country, and he put them in this big giant class action suit. But they had to spend $1 million. This was as of 2011. So they were in this thing for 5 years. In litigation for 5 years, they had to fight this. $1 million they had to fight this, and of course this is not so much mom and pop. It's actually it's about 8,000 square feet. I think Adventure Outdoors, if not bigger. But what Bloomberg has been at this for a long time. They play the long game. And I think some of us made the point earlier. It's like we got to be in this all the time. We have to be in this game all the time because money talks certainly, but so do we. We can win these battles. But a show like this, Second Amendment Daily Show, where we're talking about these issues, get it spread out far and wide. Y'all, we know that y'all are talking about this same stuff that we're talking about. And that's why we're talking about it here. Reinforcing what we know to be true. We've got to fight these guys with everything we have. We've got
the best defense is a good offense. I think Dad taught me that when we were playing, what was that game? You guys remember that game with the sequence? I think that was the game.
Yeah.
The best defense is good offense, and nothing slows gun control more in a state capital than seeing a couple of these anti-gunners kicked out on their butt at election time. I think Iowa gun owners has been doing this for a very long time, and the guys who are watching in Iowa know this, that nothing chills things down like Mike Gronstall, 34-year incumbent, being kicked out on his ass last year in Council Bluffs. Yeah. But there's dozens and dozens and dozens more like that here in Iowa. Or for the guys watching in Wyoming, Fred Emmerich kicked out to permanent retirement in the primaries just a couple of weeks ago. The guy who voted against constitutional carry in the Senate voted against constitutional carry and is opposing stand your ground law even this year behind the scenes. And of course, he's going to run a write-in campaign. The way it sounds, he's a bitter clinger apparently to his power. But that's how this stuff works. Putting these guys out on the curb is what happens. The thing is, though, and you guys all agree with this, it's not one and done. That has to happen and happen again and happen again. What happened on election night in Iowa in 2016 was utterly historic, but that was a long time ago. Time ago. And we're already seeing all these Republicans in Iowa talking about red flags. We're seeing the Democrats talking about assault weapons bans, repealing stand your ground law. Heck, they want to repeal our shall issue law that we passed way back in 2010. And so this fight never ends. It never ends. You can pass a monstrously big pro-gun bill 1 year, and the next year be fighting for your lives, trying to keep them from rolling it back, or from passing red flags. So the members of these groups, this fight, it never sleeps. And so I know right now, I'm going to hold up my little photograph here. No, it's not mine. It's somebody else. For the members of Iowa gun owners, be watching your mailbox. This mail piece is landing, I think, today or tomorrow or yesterday. This is all about the red flag gun seizure bill being talked about and being aided by this guy, Matt Winchell, Speaker Pro Tem of the Iowa House. And he's a Republican, and he's agreeing to work across the aisle to make this happen. So that's kind of, I think, the point here is that this fight never ends. It never ends. Even when you pass a big bill, even when you unseat a 34-year incumbent Senate Majority Leader, the fight never ends, and gun owners have to be constantly involved. And that's, again, guys, watch this podcast. You guys just kind of see what's going on in other states, because as we've been saying for weeks now, what happens in your state, it affects mine. It affects ours. It affects all of them. It's not a vacuum. In fact, we discussed that. And guys, if you're just watching for the first time, check our video from last week's podcast. We were reading off the language of these red flag gun seizure laws in about 6 different states, and they're literally verbatim language on some of the key parts of this bill. So again, what happens here, it impacts your state and vice versa. If any more states pass red flag laws next session, it's going to kick off a domino effect, an avalanche effect all across it's already happening. We saw it happen in Florida. And I think Ben was saying that within a matter of days or weeks in the Minnesota committee hearing, they said, well, gee whiz, if the gunshine state can do it, then we should do it here. So that's why I'm saying that this line has to be drawn in the sand, not just in the 4 states you see here or in the 8 or 9 states that we all work in, but everywhere. And again, one last little thing here, shout out. If you're not a part of a gun rights group in your state, or if there's not a group there, rather, who's actually fighting tooth and nail, then join up with one that is, or start one. Start one. None of us were born doing politics. We all did something else. And one day we decided, you know what? I'm pissed off. I've had enough. And these guys in the state capitol are not going to do this anymore. And there's no magic here. It's just a lot of hard work and a willingness to be hated, to be hated by politicians. But, when you got smug chumps like this lecturing you in a committee, let me tell you guys, it's not hard to be okay with being hated because these guys want to eradicate our freedoms.
That's right.
A little bit at a time, a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. And it sucks. And they have to be pushed back against because, as we discussed in previous podcasts, they're aided. They're aided by other organizations in these states that are more interested in being friends with politicians, getting their selfies, being invited to the governor's ball. That's what juices them up. And I know what juices me up is watching a political career tossed into the gutter of Iowa history or Missouri history or Wyoming history because one more sucker got kicked out to the curb by gun owners who were pissed off and had enough. It gets me all excited.
He was talking. I mean, that's directed at you, Ohio, when he was talking about the next state that might possibly pass red flags. We're gonna give them hell here in Ohio, and of course, we had this shooting that happened today in downtown Cincinnati at the Fifth Third Bank. I don't know if you guys all saw. It's been breaking all over Ohio, but this guy right here. His name is Omar Perez. Walks right into the no guns allowed Fifth Third. It's a weird name, I know. Fifth Third Bank lobby and starts shooting people with a semi-automatic handgun. I guarantee if that had been a white guy and he'd used an AR-15, there'd be CNN helicopters all over the place. But don't think for a minute that John Kasich isn't going to try to parlay this. I'm talking to you specifically now, Ohioans. Going to parlay this into trying to move his red flags gun confiscation legislation coming up in. And like Aaron just said, the next state to pass this stuff is going to could easily trigger a whole bunch more states. And I'll be damned if I'm going to let Ohio, if we are going to let Ohioans become the next state. So it's all connected. They want to build off of each and every action.
I want to give another shout out real quick. I can see a few people who have shared this already from Minnesota. Bob shared it. Greg shared this video. I can see a bunch of people who shared this. So, guys, thank you very much for sharing. Share it. Get your name pop up here. If you share it and your privacy settings work so that we can see it, we'll give you a shout out right here. Also, we got Timothy Knight is watching on YouTube, and he's from Minnesota. So rock on, Timothy. And he says it's all about the money for these people.
Yeah, that's right. Guys,
money and power.
We have a special segment that we're going to start rolling out. Remember, this is only episode 3 of the Second Amendment Daily Show. It's only episode 3. Things are going to get bigger, better, and nastier. But those of y'all who live in Georgia, you were very accustomed to hearing me talk about the fact that we have 71,000 gang members, estimated gang members, 1,500 gangs in this state. If you live close to Atlanta, you hear about a shooting, this and that. It's gang related, almost all of it, guys. But Aaron from Iowa, I'm introducing this segment. Again, it's going to get better as time goes on, guys, but we are introducing this segment, our self-defense story of the week. Aaron has a nasty one, the nastiest of the nasty. So, Aaron, go ahead and tell us about the Second Amendment self-defense story of the week.
Well, the hard part's choosing the best one to talk about because, I mean, as we all know, these things are there's 3 or 4 a day right now, and that's just the ones that we hear about, just the ones that people even report to the police. Because of course, for every time somebody shoots one of these scumbags, there's 10, 15 more where they'd pull their firearm and don't have to shoot the individual. But this one here is a great one. This is out of New York State. You might think there's no guns left in New York, and you'd actually be incorrect. They're still fighting hard out there. A lot of war going on for gun rights out there, for the rights that they have left. But in Elmira, New York, this is going to be kind of the upstate, but southern tier of the upstate section up there. This lovely individual right here.
Whoa.
33.
Is that a girl?
Look at that.
No, it's a dude.
That.
33-year-old Jason Lopez.
Dude looks
this
like a
guy.
lady.
And the article here is on secondamendmentdaily.com. If you want to read more about it, guys, that's the website. He breaks into a house in Elmira, New York, and that's I've been out there before. I have my wife's family is from not too far away from that part of New York State. Beautiful, beautiful area out there. He decides that nobody in New York can have guns, apparently, and he was wrong. And he broke into a house in the 500 block of Pine Street in Elmira at 6 a.m. Now, this guy is a convicted felon. He has served for years in the upstate correctional facility in Malone, way up there in the northern part. And he just must have decided that he wanted to go back in or something, because he broke into this woman's house. And the woman who was there, she's there with her 4 minor kids. Doesn't say the age of the kids in this article. She was scared. Hell, I'd be scared. You know,
if a picture says 1,000 words, that one's worth 1,000,000.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, I'd be terrified.
He comes in the house, and at 6 a.m., she whips out a 12-gauge shotgun and shoots this dude right in the chest. And,
slugs for thugs.
Perfect shot. Now, this guy did not die. But the attack was ended, and her 4 kids were saved. And that's kind of, I think, the point here is that this is not just a political shtick, gun rights. We heard Kavannaugh talking today at length of how the law is personal and how he tries to, take the backstory and the personal ramifications into his rulings as a judge. And it's the same thing with gun rights. This is not just politics. It's not just a talking point in some state committee hearing room. This is real life. And these stories, millions of these stories over the last couple of years out there, where real life people stop real life rapes and real life murders and real life kidnappings and real life assaults and real life everything with a gun. And so when we hear a story like this one here from Elmira, New York, it just makes me I get all excited about it. I get super jazzed up, because it's one more woman who wasn't assaulted, one more kid who didn't watch his mom get killed right in front of his eyes. And damn these politicians who are trying to eliminate that. That's what pretty soon we're going to have squirt guns left to defend ourselves with. And all these lawmakers, all these pundits, all these talking heads talking about, well, Europe this and London that and Canada this, because of course Canada's now moving to totally ban all handguns and assault weapons, so-called. It's being talked about right now by Prime Minister Trudeau. And they always cite these other countries. And my response is always the same. Well, then move there, damn it. If you don't like America, if you don't like our freedom, if you don't like the country our founding fathers gave us, you're free to leave. You're free to leave. Get out.
Yeah, the other crazy thing, a little bit of a shift, but down here in Georgia, guys, again, I'm Patrick Parsons, Executive Director of Georgia Gun Owners. Those of y'all who are in Georgia, let me know where you're watching from. Go and like the Second Amendment Daily Facebook page. This is episode 3 of the Second Amendment Daily show for all of y'all across the country who are watching. You can only see a certain number right now on the video on the page that you're watching, but there are hundreds of people watching all across the country, guys. We're gonna pipe all those people in the coming weeks. But just today, the mayor of Atlanta, she said that Immigration and Customs Enforcement should basically empty all Atlanta jails of any illegal criminals that have been arrested, guys. So what you hear from the politicians is they come after us. They want to take our firearms away, but they want to empower these thugs, like Aaron just talked about in our self-defense Second Amendment story of the week. And they want to leave us, and they want to go after us. It's like it's unbelievable. It's like Alice in Wonderland. Everything is upside down, guys. We have got to change the narrative. That's one reason for this show. So when y'all see this show come on, immediately share it. Immediately share it and pass it around to family and friends. Because quite frankly, there's no other show on the internet like this. There is no other show like this. We are talking about what gun people need to be talking about. And what y'all are actually talking about, Well,
what's going to change also here in a couple months, guys, is you're going to get these nitty-gritty nasty stories that come from bathrooms in the state capitol, from committee rooms, from dark hallways, because we're there. We're there during session all the time. And there's so much backstory these guys want to keep hidden. I know we discussed this a while back, but like in Wyoming, the day the governor refused to sign stand your ground law, that very day, his security detail in the Capitol telling people that night the governor had a home invasion and he's holding this guy at gunpoint when the state police show up. And then later on that same day, that smug, arrogant individual, almost a bad word, that smug bastard announces he would not sign stand your ground law. These are the stories that you're going to hear about, guys, all the time. In about 3 or 4 months when we get back into session, because it's going to be on in state capitals all over the country. I mean, I don't think it's a big shock out there. It's not probably going to be a good November for pro-gun candidates. I know certainly in Iowa, we're being told the HRCC has walked away from Congressman Blum. Maybe that's the case. Maybe it's not. It broke yesterday in the Daily Cause. We're seeing Iowa Congressman David Young upside down 4 to 5%. Now, of course, David is terrible and he's a coward and he wants to ban bump stocks, all this stuff. But it's probably not going to be a good November. Probably not going to be a good November. And if that's the case, these guys are going to be inspired to go for the jugular, come January. And you know what? So are we. And so
in fact, that's exactly where we expect to have our hands on behalf of all of you members and supporters of these gun rights organizations. Is we're going to have our necks, your collective hands around their necks. That's where they need to be best in position to make sure that these people don't become the runaway freight train they want to become.
We are getting asked a couple of minutes here by some folks in Missouri about Claire. We promised an update on Claire McCaskill. We got Ann Gentry watching right now in Missouri. J.R. Price checking in right now. Chrissy Beck, you cannot sit back and watch when it comes to your firearms rights. You have to be active in voting and supporting candidates that stand for your gun rights. So Chrissy, certainly in Missouri, get involved with the Missouri Firearms Coalition. Is going to be a major war in Jeff City come January on everything from red flags to repealing stand your ground law. So get involved down there. Back to, it's the question about Claire McCaskill. NBC poll data came out yesterday. Now, I don't know what to make of polls anymore. I mean, they got shot to crap. I mean, no one knows how much to believe. I mean, but the poll numbers are out yesterday. NBC poll in the Show Me State shows Claire McCaskill is in a dead heat, 47-47 right now with Josh Hawley. Now, I'm not sure that Josh is 110% by any means. The guy is, he's kind of swarmy. We'll leave it at that. And his public statements on some issues like bump stocks have not been good. But with Claire, she is known to be one of Obama's leading allies during his 8 years. She backed everything that Obama and Feinstein ever asked her to do. And we have an article on that right now on the Missouri Firearms Coalition's page, the top 10 list of things she did. I mean, banning assault weapons, of course, that's the AR-15, semi-automatic, normal use firearm. Banning high-cap mags, so-called, of course, again, that's standard use. It's a 15-round mag for your Glock. It's a 30-round mag for your rifle. Ban them all. She opposed national reciprocity. And again, Claire McCaskill is the second or leading most vulnerable anti-gun senator right now on the ballot across the country. And so this has implications far and above what just happens in Missouri, because we need to get a pro-gun majority for a change in D.C. for President Trump. And we haven't had it. And we might have had 51, but it has not, you guys all agree, I'm sure, has not been a pro-gun majority. John McCain, I guess we're supposed to not talk bad about him for the time being, but hey, it's the truth. He backed the Manchin-Toomey bill. He backed a whole bunch of gun control, and he dang sure wouldn't support gun rights in any capacity for the last number of years. You've got Lindsey Graham, who's been on some issues, he's solid. On many issues, he's not. And we need a pro-gun majority to give Trump the ability to advance a pro-gun agenda. And again, right now, 47 to 47% is the poll numbers in Missouri. And rumor has it that the Missouri Firearms Coalition is going to roll out a nasty ad on Claire McCaskill in just a couple days. It's probably going to make statewide news.
Which, by the way, we're going to feature for you here next week on our show live. So
because we're not looking to play nice down there. Not looking to play nice. We're looking to hold people accountable, and send a message. Send a message. You screw with our gun rights, and we're gonna screw with you. We're gonna. And again, guys, if you're not involved in a group like that doesn't want to hurt these people politically speaking, to be very clear, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. Get involved.
And let me give you a little snapshot of what your state looks like after November if things go very poorly. I mean, Minnesota, it's about the most. The Republican majorities. We have a Republican House and a Republican Senate here, and you wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know it. After last year and the year before, our pro-gun majorities in Minnesota put up such a weak showing in defense or advancement of the Second Amendment that the anti-gun radicals on the left went to war against our gun rights in 2018. They fought tooth and nail, red flags, universal background checks, gun confiscation bills, AR-15 bans. Everything was on the table. They were forcing hearings. They were forcing votes. This stuff was happening right and left. Because the left.
But where were the freedom fighters in the Republican caucus, Ben?
Yeah, they weren't doing anything. They were sitting on their thumbs and encouraging, and with their total lack of action in defense of the Second Amendment, encouraging the left to fight harder. This is exactly what Aaron was talking about a couple of minutes ago. When he said, look, if things go badly in November, it's only going to encourage the left to push harder. And right here in Minnesota with the Republican House and Senate, you never saw the left push as hard as they did in 2018 and watch our so-called pro-gun majorities wilt and totally break under pressure. It was pathetic. It was terrible.
So what you're saying is these weak, cowardly Republicans, if the House in Minnesota flips over to DFL or Democrat control, these weak Republicans actually helped create this environment that forced this flip over. I mean, come on.
We've got Republicans sponsoring gun control in Minnesota, and now, according to all the polls we have seen, they're going up in flames. They've totally alienated their base. The left is giving them no free pass for not fighting for gun owners. Nobody's getting a free pass. If you're a Republican and you sponsored or sat by and let gun control move, nobody's getting a free pass anyway. So the Republicans in Minnesota currently are getting their teeth kicked in because of their crap method of politics that has only harmed gun owners and harmed the Second Amendment cause. So you got to hold them to account. No free passes.
Preach it.
Yeah, no free passes.
Guys, I not to change the subject, but I was aggregating some of the numbers tonight. Again, this is episode number 3 of the Second Amendment Daily Show. This is being shown all across the country, guys. About 60 or 70,000 people have seen the video so far, not necessarily views, but it's going to be a big viewership when we add them all up. And as something that I was excited about, what Chris was saying earlier, all of the people that you see represented in the groups you see represented here, guys, we all we are running active programs in our state to expose the left-wingers and gun grabbers. We all have radio and TV ads, social media ads, online ads. We have it all. And I think Chris said we're going to show them next week, or at least part of it. I think y'all are going to be really excited to see that. Then when you ask yourself, which group should I get involved with? Which group should I get involved with, guys? Well, we're going to show you right here. All the groups that are represented on this show, which is 7, 8, 9, 10 groups. We operate in multiple states, guys. We are all doing what maybe the NRA should be doing. They're not doing it, guys. We are leading the fight on the grassroots level, and we're really excited about that as this show develops to show y'all all this stuff that we're doing. Maybe you're in Wyoming, but you're seeing what's happening in Georgia. It's exciting stuff, and we're really leading the fight out on the ground.
I'm reading a lot of comments. That's why I'm looking down off my camera so much. But I think someone's telling me that our good friend Jeremy Munson is watching. this podcast right now? Can anybody confirm that? Can anybody confirm that Jeremy Munson is watching on Facebook right now?
Yep,
Isn't he one of those? Isn't Jeremy one of those those freedom leaders in Minnesota?
Oh, don't use that word.
Who is so scared of leadership, he won't do a dang thing. Is that the same Jeremy Munson, Ben?
Yep, that's the one. Gun owners went to war to get Jeremy Munson into office. It was an incredible election as gun owners rose up, stormed to the polls, and elected Jeremy Munson to go to St. Paul. And we're told that he got chewed out by leadership. You know, I mean, imagine this. Just for a moment, will you? All you gun owners who are watching this, imagine some guy comes up and just starts shouting in your face, going, "You're too radical. You know, we hate your Trump shirt. Get rid of your guns. You know, get rid of your truck. You're a piece of crap." Imagine going, "Oh my gosh, you're right. I'm sorry. I'll never do it again." Imagine just totally like watching your spine turn to jelly. That's what happened with Jeremy Munson in St. Paul. It's what's happened with many of them.
I don't know who this Jeremy Munson guy is, but he sounds like a gigantic loser. That's all I've got to say about that. He sounds like a gigantic loser.
That's Minnesota for you when it comes to legislators in St. Paul.
Not to get too detailed, but we mentioned that these are the kind of stories you're going to hear about on this podcast because we know where skeletons lie.
Oh yeah,
and we have no problem digging those bad boys out. But Munson is one of these kind of guys. You know, you mentioned Eric Mortensen, this guy in Minnesota who just won his primary, and he's fearless on guns. He wants to fight. And you know, what you guys may or may not know out there is that what happens then is that after fighters win their primaries, what happens, guys? Within 30 seconds of the race being called for a fighter, tell them what happens. What happens?
Oh, well, we were there. And again, for the Minnesotans watching, you know, you've heard that he is a great pro-gunner, that Jeremy Munson is a hero of the Second Amendment. Jeremy Munson called Eric Mortensen mere moments after winning his primary election and said,
"Look,
Eric,
to the speaker. You
got to kiss up to the speaker. You got to apologize to him. You got to do whatever he wants you to do, and then we'll accept you into our fold in St. Paul. Then you can be one of the team. Then you can be one of the guys." And he stabbed gun owners in the back. This is Jeremy Munson. You guys, Minnesotans,
the same thing happens in Iowa. The same thing happens in Ohio.
Yes.
And folks, the same thing happens in your state.
Yes.
And that's why, you know, look, I think it's pretty obvious that none of us here like gun grabbers on the Democratic ticket. 100% pretty obvious. Lots of them here in Iowa can speak to that firsthand because they have plenty of time now that they're retired from public life. But I got to tell you, the folks that I despise even more are these folks that stab you in the back. I'd much prefer to get stabbed in the chest. I can defend against that easier.
Exactly.
And gun owners understand that better. But when these quisling chumps who are so afraid of their own party leaders, when they stab us in the back, I have a lot more visceral hatred, politically speaking, for those people than anybody else. And this is what you're going to hear about, guys. I can't wait till session starts. It's going to be
awesome,
wild and woolly.
Yeah.
And for the Iowans who are watching this, look, we were too nice last session. I'm just going to say it. We were too nice.
Yes.
I was too nice. I have some people in this video right now who are telling me that I was too nice. And, you know.
The day of the dog is about to begin.
It's going to get nasty
in Iowa.
Because we have Republican governor right now who's publicly attacking constitutional carry. We have Republican leaders like this stooge right here wanting to push through red flags. And, you know, we didn't bust our asses here in Iowa in 2010, 12, 14, 16, unseating all of these anti-gunners to now have a pro-gun majority for the first time since the 90s, to have these chumps come along and whittle away at our gun rights. That's how this fight has to. You keep pulling that.
So people have been busting on me the entire night because how come our flag is the only one that's backwards? Well, folks, I'm going to try to get this fixed, but you can't see it right here. This guy that Aaron's talking about, his name is Matt Pimpin' Ain't Easy, Matt Winshittle. And it says loser right there backwards in case you guys couldn't see that. But Winshittle is a loser, and he's the one who's trying to push this gun control bill in Iowa. So I'm going to get this fixed.
It deserves to be waged as aggressively
fiercely.
As we can.
Fiercely.
We have I have 6 kids. I know Chris has got 6 kids. I know Ben's got 2. Patrick's got 4. Is that correct?
On the way.
Four, okay,
four's on the way.
Put them on the way. I mean, these kids and our grandkids are counting on us to stand up right the hell now. And I hope they're not watching. I've sworn about 4 times tonight. I'm going to hear about it from my wife when I get home. Hopefully the kids are in bed. But they're counting on us. They're counting on us. And that's what I'm saying. Gun rights politics is not dry, sterile political debate and who has the best arguments. It's a street fight. It's a street fight. And that's how we have to fight for our gun rights. We have to be willing to go all the way or just don't get involved. And that's a good lesson for a lot of gun rights organizations. Just don't get involved. The Iowa Firearms Coalition, just don't, unless you're going to attack this guy, just don't get involved. Yeah. You know, BFA out there in Ohio championing DeWine, who backed the assault weapons ban, right, in 94?
Yep. Feinstein's. Yeah.
Feinstein's, yeah. Just don't get involved. You know, Georgia Carey, you guys have been compromising every day of your lives for the 10 years I've known about you. Just don't get involved. We know you're not going to do that. That's fine. But you're not getting a free pass from us. You're not getting a free pass from gun owners.
Well, for heaven's sake, don't leave out the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Don't leave out the Gun Owners Caucus. They've been stabbing gun owners in the back
for years
to kiss the speaker's backside. Well, literally, since they started their organization to do that.
Yeah. Well, guys,
there's a name for people like that, but we're not gonna. Like I said, I have my kids watching, so
this is family friendly.
Yeah, I can tell you, the Republicans down here in Georgia, year after year after year, this guy named Alan Powell and Georgia Carey, they work together to try to kill constitutional carry, and they say this is what they say every time. They say, "Oh, we'll get it next year. We'll get it down the road." Well, if you know anything about Georgia, the city of Atlanta or the Atlanta area is now bigger than 25 states. Okay, this is not a good thing for Second Amendment rights. We cannot wait, especially those of y'all who are watching in Georgia, guys. We cannot wait. I said it on Facebook, the Georgia Gun Owners Facebook Live the other day, and one lady got mad at me, and I banned her. But I said, we have to get down in the mud with the pigs and go after these people, Republicans and Democrats alike. And I said, I am proud to get down in the mud and roll around with these people. I'm more than proud to do it. And that's what all of us here do. That's what all of us here do, and we love it.
That's because that's what all of our members do. These guys want to fight hard.
Yeah.
Gun owners are sick and tired of this crap. They're sick and tired of being on defense when we have a freaking majority. We have more Republican-controlled states right now than any time since 1924. 1924, and we haven't been on such a case of defense as we have been this last year for a long time. And now we have the majority. We're getting our teeth kicked in. So, guys, that's what this is all about. Are we? I think we've pretty much covered all of our talking points for tonight, guys. But again, you got to take a moment and get on the YouTube page and subscribe. You've got to get there. Take a moment. There are links above this. Get over there and sign up. We got Misplaced Hillbilly on the YouTube channel right now saying establishment R's are stabbing us in the back. They're backstabbing politicians. Republicans are doing it worse than anyone. Worse than anyone. That is certainly the case in a lot of states. So, guys, I know I was asked on the IGO page just now a timeline for Kavannaugh, and of course they're about done. This lovely lady, this lovely lass is about done grilling him, but it's going to be held over for at least 3 more days for additional documents to be requested. You guys didn't see Cory Booker's "I am Spartacus" motion today. Man. You gotta check it out on Google or Twitter. But they're gonna have a couple more days for documents to be brought onto the record, and it's gonna be held over for at least a week, probably 2 from what Senator Tillis was saying tonight, and then it goes to the floor. So several weeks yet for this before it's confirmed. But we're gonna cover that again in detail when that goes to a floor action. We're gonna have I know we're going to have articles on these state groups, letting you guys contact your senators, telling them what to do. I know a lot of Missourians are very curious to know, what is Claire McCaskill going to do? She's less than 60 days out from general election. Is she going to stand up for gun owners or stab them in the chest again? So we'll have much more to come on that. We're going to have our self-defense story of the week. What else, guys? We have a lot of stuff coming up here.
Look, there's a brand new article. Y'all have probably figured out we are associated with Second Amendment Daily, secondamendmentdaily.com. There is a brand new article that I understand that has just been posted. Every single page that this video is playing on, there's a brand new article that's just been posted about Nancy Pelosi. This is breaking news. Nancy Pelosi says, and there's quotes in there, she says that one of the top, probably the top item, if she were to win, if the Democrats were to win in November, the House, the first issue she's going to take up in Congress, one of the first issues is gun control. So-called semi-auto bans, so-called assault weapons bans. Aaron, you know more about this subject than I do. But I understand that this article is going viral right now. So when this video is over, go to the Facebook page that you're on, read the Pelosi article, share it immediately. There's hundreds of shares, what I'm seeing already. This is big news. Big news.
It really highlights what's at stake here. So, guys, if you haven't already done so, please go to our YouTube channel. There's links in the comments of any station that you're watching this on right now. Again, this is being broadcast all across America right now on Facebook pages all across the country. So if you've not done so already, we're concerned that someday that Facebook is going to shut this stuff down. Please go over to our YouTube channel over there, like and subscribe to this video, and follow us over there as well. So
and tell your friends, guys, this is going to be ground zero for the nastiest stuff you're going to hear about next session in the fight for gun rights in a whole bunch of states. And for those guys, I swear to heaven, I'll stop talking in less than 1 minute, less than 30 seconds. For all you people out there who are watching this video right now, and you know who you are, bless your heart. There are a lot of more states where gun owners and gun rights activists want to get involved and want to get mobilized. Guys, we're here to help you out. We're helping a lot of folks right now in a whole bunch of new states. The word is out. These national groups that raise a crap ton of money and don't do a damn thing in state capitals all across the country, that is the old way. And the gun rights is won and lost on the ground, in the state house, in the committee hearings, and we're here to help you guys out. So if you're in Tennessee, you want help getting organized, contact us. If you're in Maine, we've already got constitutional carry, but contact us. If you want to get involved, guys, contact us, because that old model of sending off all that money to national groups, and I mean all of the national groups, that's not getting it done anymore, and that's the last word I'm going to say. I'm done.
Yep, and let's throw Texas and Florida in there too. You guys got a lot of crap that's been going on down there in Florida. Give us a shout out. We'd love to help out in any way, shape, or form that we possibly can. So, anything else, Patrick, Ben?
Nope, I think we're good.
So. Rock on, guys. Georgia, I will see you tomorrow on Georgia Gun Owners Facebook Live tomorrow morning. So be there or you're out of it.
Same here in Ohio, guys. And again, we will be back here again next week at 7:30 on Thursday night with the next episode of the Second Amendment Daily Show. Patrick,
7:30 Eastern.
If we're gonna start flashing firearms
GGOraffle.com. GGOraffle.com.
We're all gonna do it. Anyway, 7:30 p.m. next weekend. You guys be here. We're gonna be, like we just talked about, we're gonna be showing you some kick-ass ads that are gonna be running in some of the states. You guys are gonna love this stuff.
And he keeps saying 7:30, but he lives in Ohio, so all the Minnesotans and the Wisconsinites who are watching right now, that's 6:30.
Missourians, 6:30. Wyoming, Mountain Time, guys, 5:30 out there. Have a great night, guys.
Yep, we'll see you again next week. Take care.